Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. Hope you guys are having a lovely day. I'm not sure if I'm feeling the yellow jumper. Fuck it. So, basically, as you can see by today's title, we're going to be doing a Q&A about my deafness. So over on my Instagram, I've been asking questions that you guys want to ask me about my deafness, as I'm very open and I'm happy to talk about my deafness over Instagram. However, I haven't really spoken it much on this platform. I've done one video, let's talk about my hearing aid and how my hearing aids work, but I haven't really talked about my deafness on here, and I want to be more open. I want to use this platform to help raise awareness and educate people who don't really understand it, but also it just tells you a bit about me. It's a very personal thing for me, like I was born with it, and I thought, why not educate you guys, or why don't you guys get to know me a little bit more? I put like a Q&A box on my Instagram story. If you don't follow me on Instagram, I shall leave that in the link down below. Yeah, so I basically guess we'll just start with all the questions that you guys have asked me. And to be fair, there was quite a few questions that I wasn't expecting people to ask and stuff. But to start it all off, the first one was, were you born deaf? And someone else said, did you lose your hearing over time? Was it an instant thing? Were you born with it? To give you guys a little bit of a backstory about me, I did actually ask my mum how they found out that I was deaf and how it all happened from there, because obviously I know a little bit, but I don't really know the full story. Answer that question, I was born deaf, and basically my mum said that Gloucestershire Hospital, I'm going to read the message because it's just easier. Gloucestershire was piloting a programme to identify hearing loss in babies, as most children were not diagnosed until school. This meant they lost vital time early on for support with language and wearing hearing aids. The health visitors carried out a basic hearing test on you as a baby, which did not pass. Then you have to do a test for auditory nerve activities when you were asleep, and finally test under general anaesthetic, which confirmed your hearing loss. I'm not sure which way it goes, but I remember my grandpa told me a story that he knew I wouldn't react to certain sound or wouldn't react to any sound at all, and he banged two saucepans above my head. And as a baby, you were meant to cry if you heard a really loud noise. However, I just didn't hear anything. So I'm guessing after that, then they went to hospital and they did a basic hearing test, which I didn't pass. Then I had to do a auditory nerve activity when I was asleep, didn't pass. And then I had to do another test under general anaesthetic, which confirmed my hearing loss. That's a lot. That is a lot. I didn't even know that was the whole thing. I just thought that they'd go do a test, found out that I wasn't deaf. So obviously, that's how they found out I was deaf. I was born deaf and I've always worn hearing aids since I was probably just less than one year old, I don't know. But I used to hate wearing my hearing aids. I used to hate hearing sound. So I would always take my hearing aids out, and we had a dog. And I think I would try and feed my dog my hearing aid. And then I think a few times he had eaten it, or he'd like crunched it, and then they had to go and get me a new hearing aid but I remember there were times where I just didn't want to hear, like I just didn't want it in my ear. So like, it was kind of a fight to put my hearing aid in my ear. The next question, I don't know where to go. I guess I go from the bottom onward. Someone said, how do you find telling new people that you have a disability? When I meet new people, depending on the environment, if I'm in a loud environment, I do tend to just say, hi, just to give you the heads up, I am deaf. Can you please like face me so I can lip read you? But if it's just like a hey, bye, then I don't really tend to tell people that I'm deaf. I just I don't want it to be, hi, my name's Imogen, I'm deaf. So like, that's not the way that I go forward. If I need to be in a situation where I need to be able to understand the person and I need help or whatever, then I will say it. But if I don't need to say it, I won't say it. But yeah, that's basically it, really. Is your hearing getting worse as you are getting older? So, my hearing is getting worse with my hearing aid. So my hearing aid is not picking up the sound. It's not the hearing aid's fault, it's just my ear is not, I don't really know how to explain it, but my hearing isn't picking up the sound it used to hear. So I, for example, used to be able to hear like bird noises. I can't hear bird noises now. I used to be able to hear like maybe beeping noise on like the washing machine. Can't hear that now. It just the hearing aid is just not the best format for my ears anymore, which is why I'm then getting a cochlear implant, and I will explain more about that in the question later. The thing is, everyone is different. Like, some people wear hearing aids and they stay with hearing aids for the rest of their life. Some people wear hearing aids and their hearing gets worse and they have to go for something different. I have known some people, like in primary school, some people did have hearing aids and then they just grown out of it and they don't need hearing aid any longer. It just all depends on the person. Every deaf person is different. That's it, really. Someone else said, can you hear without your hearing aid? No. Once my hearing aids are out, I hear nothing. Like, nothing. Not even a loud bang, not even like a hoover next to me, not even someone walking, like nothing. However, I'm more sensitive, so like if someone were to walk really loud, like stomping outside my bedroom, I would probably know that there's someone in my flat. Or if someone just slammed the door, I would feel like the bang, if that makes sense. So that would probably like wake me up or something like that. I do not hear anything. And that's a pro but also a con. Like, the fact that I can't hear anything, I get the best night's sleep. However, I also get some of the shit night's sleep because my anxiety is just freaking out and I'm thinking someone's in my flat. It's a mix of a pro and a con that I can't hear anything. But it is what it is. Someone has said, do you think there's enough deafness awareness and knowledge on TV, film, social media? Growing up, no. There was definitely no awareness growing up. I don't think I've ever seen a deaf person on telly. I don't think I've ever seen a deaf person on telly. On social media, I don't think I see anyone like disabled on social media when I was growing up, when I first got Instagram. I remember feeling so insecure about my deafness because I genuinely thought I was like the only one, because there was no one that I knew or no one that would like an influencer that had a following or that was like popular or famous on Instagram. So growing up, no. However, now I do think things have changed slightly. I think the fact that Rose went on Strictly 2 years ago now, 3 years ago, and that Tasha went on Summer Love Island, I do think it had helped massively. I do think disability people are now starting to come through on social media platforms just to make more awareness, but also to prove people that this is normal as well. I don't think it's enough. I think it's more than what it used to be, but I don't think it's enough awareness. I think we still need to keep pushing it. You know how in schools you get to learn either French, Spanish, Russian, German, like whatever. I do think you should have the opportunity to learn BSL if you want to, because I know for a fact that I would 100% do that. Because I didn't do any language at school because I found it very hard. So I knew that if I did BSL, then that would be my language sorted. So I do think we still need to improve and still need to continue with the whole raising awareness on social media and TV and films and etc. Someone said, have you ever felt singled out because of your deafness? 100%. 100%. There's been so many times in situations and social environments where I've just thought, I can't be in this situation, I can't hear, I can't understand, people are talking on top of each other, especially if we're in a big group. There's like, my head can't physically move that quick to understand every single person in the group. So 100% I have felt like I've been singled out, and I've definitely struggled, and there's been times where I've had to remove myself from the social situation. And I think that's another thing that I find very hard at the moment, is that before my hearing was getting worse with my hearing aids, I was quite a sociable person. I liked going out, I liked going clubbing, I liked, you know, doing all sorts. Now I don't. I hardly ever go out. Even going to a restaurant for a meal, I still struggle with that. if I'm not with just one person, I struggle. So I prefer being with just one person so I can just completely focus on that one person. Someone else has said, did you feel you had enough support being deaf while you were at school? My primary school, no. They were just very uneducated. They didn't really understand. I was the only deaf person in that school. Yeah, I did have a teaching assistant, but again, there were times where they just didn't really understand. For example, if I had a spelling test, and the spelling test was about past tense or anything like that, I can't hear ED or S at the end because it's too quiet of a sound. So when I had a spelling test, I would unfortunately getting like 3 out of 10 or whatever. And unfortunately, I didn't then have my lunch break because I couldn't hear the sound to spell. So primary school, I would say I did not get any support. I really struggled. They made me feel a lot dumber than I was. Yeah, however, secondary school was absolutely amazing. They really encouraged me to do the best I can. If I didn't understand something, they wouldn't punish me for it. They helped me, they made me understand. I then understood why that way worked the way it worked, etc. But it wasn't just the support from the teachers that I got. I got the most amazing support from like my TAs, even just friends and like them being around there. Someone has said, do you struggle with your deafness? Completely honestly, as much as I like to preach and make awareness about my deafness, yeah, I do struggle with my deafness. Every day is a battle for me. And I think a lot of other deaf people will relate to this, is that the minute you wake up and having to put your hearing aids in, you get that very overwhelming 10-second of, right, okay, this is the sound. From doing that to then having to be in a group, in a loud environment, to talking to people, even just walking into town or even just driving or even catching a bus can be quite overwhelming. And I do, like, it's okay to struggle with it. It's okay to think, oh, like, I can't afford to hear, I can't afford to do this, and just want to curl up in bed. But the one thing that I'm very proud of myself is that I do keep pushing, I do keep getting on with it, I keep moving on with life. There's so much out there. I like proving people wrong, that I'm not just sitting on the sofa, keeping myself inside and isolating myself. Like, I'm pushing myself out there, I'm making myself known, keep raising awareness. But it's okay to have those down days, and it's okay to have those days where you do struggle. And it's normal, it's being part of human. Like, you can't go through life without struggling, otherwise how do you grow as a person? How do you learn from your mistakes? So yeah, it's normal to struggle. I think a lot of people who are deaf would relate, in the sense of, don't get me wrong, I do love my deafness and I am very proud of it. But there are days where I just wish I was just normal like the rest of everyone and just be able to hear normally and wouldn't have to go through the struggle that I have to go through every single day. I'm grateful for the person who I am, and I wouldn't be the person who I am if it wasn't for my deafness. So yeah. Someone else has said, are you excited to get your cochlear implant? If you've been following me for a while, you probably will know that I'm currently on my cochlear implant journey. I have been having appointments in Bristol, so I've been driving up when I had my appointment. It's been a long process, as they said it would be, but I'm just ready. I'm ready to have my cochlear implant. I'm ready to be able to hear things that I didn't be able to hear before. However, I am bricking it. I don't like being put to sleep. I don't like having operations. The recovery is a very long recovery. I am going to be making a video and I'm going to be documenting my life during that time when I'm having my cochlear implant. I'm excited, but I'm also breaking it. But also, I've been very insecure with my hearing aids, and I like the fact that they're literally hidden behind my ears, and I've got a mould that you can't really hear, you can't really see them. To have something that's quite visible on your head, like a little circle there, and does scare me a little bit, but I guess it's all part of learning, it's a part of growing, and we'll just have to see how it goes, really. Someone said, how do you deal with discrimination that you face as a person with hearing difficulties? Because being deaf is not a visual disability, as in, when I say that I mean like, because I'm not in a wheelchair, or because I don't have like no arm or anything like that. People do struggle to understand deafness. They think, oh, it's just a hearing aid, like that can fix your hearing aid. Like, you know how you wear glasses, like that can sort out your vision, and then it kind of just sorts out your vision, you can now see properly. Hearing aid didn't do that. Yeah, it helped create some sound in order for you to hear, but it didn't create every single sound. It didn't fix your hearing. So there has been like a lot of times where people say, oh, you're not that deaf, oh, you're not that deaf, like you can hear, you're fine. No, I am that deaf. There's been times where people don't really understand, people don't really bother to like look at me or help me understand them. So it gets to the point where I get very anxious and feel like I'm not doing the right thing, and I don't want to upset the other person when actually they are upsetting me. There has been a lot of discrimination, but I've also learned to take it like a pinch of salt, but also I've also learned not to take it. Like, if you're going to be rude to me, I will then just say it how it is straight back. I am not going to let someone be rude to me just because I'm deaf or just because I'm a little bit different. That's not going to happen. I think this is maybe the last one that I'll do. Someone said, how do you get a deaf person's attention? First of all, don't shout their name, don't shout, oi, like, don't shout. We're not gonna hear it, no. If you want to get a deaf person's attention, I would recommend just gently, lightly tapping someone on the shoulder, just so then they can know that there's someone who's trying to get their attention, then you automatically turn to look at that person. When you're having a conversation with a deaf person, face to face, eye contact, we read your facial expression, we read your lips, we read how your eyes are acting, the way that your posture, your body language. Don't hide, don't look at the person and hide and just keep your mouth down. Try and be open, try and keep your chest open, make sure you look at the person, make sure it's an environment where it's well lit, or if it's not a good lighting area, pull that person to a better lighting area. If you're in a club, like for me, sometimes I say to them, I can't understand you, can you please write it on notes? Then they'll type it out on notes. But also, I think the best way to approach the situation is, what's the best way for you? What's the best way for you to communicate, or is this okay? Like, I really appreciate it when friends say to me like, can you understand me, or do you want to move to a quieter place, or do you want to move like outside, or I'm just gonna write it on notes and blah blah blah. Like, I find it very frustrating when sometimes I do say to them, if you need to talk to me, or if you need to do this, can you please move me to a well lit area, or can you please move me to somewhere, or can you please type something out? Because when a person or a friend or whoever, I understand it's very easy to forget, but when you're in a position where you're in a club and they're trying to shout something to you, I'm not going to understand a word you're saying. Like, I'm going to not understand a single word you're saying. However, if you type it down, then that's fine. So it can get very frustrating. Just take a minute and just think, okay, if I was in this position, what would I want? And then basically do it. Every person will appreciate that little extra mile that you will go for them, and hopefully they'll do the same for you. Voice notes, don't send me voice notes. I can't understand a thing. Just FaceTime me. I love a FaceTime. Don't voice note me. Don't voice note a deaf person. That's what I'm gonna say. I think a lot of deaf people will relate to me when I say that. Don't voice note. Actually, my pet peeve. Like, my pet peeve. So I've now answered all the questions. If you wanna ask me any more questions, please feel free to send me a message on my Instagram. If you want to ask me more questions and potentially do a part 2 of this video, I'm more than happy to do that, as I'm happy to talk about my deafness and I'm happy to raise more awareness. But otherwise, I will, oh yeah, don't forget to like, subscribe and comment down below. And I shall see you next week for a new video. Bye!